Are you tired of Overwatch 2? Do you, like me, feel disenfranchised from the game after the announcement that the grand vision of PvE, with its unique talent system and incredible story mode, was cancelled? Are you mad that they're now charging $15 for 3 skeleton versions of the quests that were promised, when you could just play any of the other high-quality free-to-play PvE games out there for superior content? Do the overpriced recolors in the shop make you cringe? Are you burnt out from the game's less-than-savory balance since the launch of Overwatch 2? Are you disappointed that Overwatch 2 is basically just a PvP update that could have been trickled into Overwatch 1 through the many years of the content drought? If you are, then I'd like to offer you a solution, and show you a game that didn't overpromise and actually delivered on the prospect of talents and progressive gameplay. A game that succeeded where Overwatch failed. I started playing Overwatch at the end of 2020, and I had an incredible time. Even though this was during the content drought phase at the end of Overwatch 1's life, the game was still solid enough that it was a blast to get into. I made a whole series trying out the different heroes on YouTube, and played the game frequently in my spare time. I was extremely excited to try out the beta for Overwatch 2, being content with the fact that we were only getting the PvP at first because the grand PvE game with its talents and epic gameplay would come later. I was even okay with the Q fiasco that happened on the launch of Overwatch 2. After all, we were all excited to play the game, and it was actually pretty fun at first. Eventually, though, playing the game felt more like a chore than an actual fun experience. The rock, paper, scissors balance of tanks really started to get boring, and when a new balance change arrived to try and break up the existing tank meta, a new rock, paper, scissors meta just arose in its place. I missed some of the fun tank duos that existed in Overwatch 1, and the freedom that came with not having to be the only tank responsible for protecting the team, making space, and taking the objective. Double barrier was certainly a slog, but not every tank duo was like that. And removing that second tank opened up a new problem. Snipers. Match after match, game after game, getting one-shot by Widowmaker and Hanzo and Sojourn over and over and over again just became a headache. Yes, there are ways to play around snipers. Utilize natural cover, push them with flank heroes, don't peek long sightlines, or just become a better sniper. But that doesn't make them fun. While they're finally getting addressed now, there's still just not really fun heroes to engage with. With the balance of the game being so bad, I was already starting to play less. And then they announced that the magnum opus, the ultimate reason why they made a sequel and the reason why everyone was hyped in the first place, was cancelled.
With everything we've learned about what it takes to operate this game at the level that you deserve, it's clear that we can't deliver on that original vision for PvE that was shown in 2019. What that means is that we won't be delivering that dedicated hero mode with talent trees, that long-term power progression. Those things just aren't in our plans anymore.
This was the final straw for me, and it's when I decided that it's time to take an extended break from Overwatch, a hiatus until things get better. But things just kept getting worse. It was announced recently that players must pay for a watered-down version of the PvE experience we were promised, and as an Overwatch 1 player, this really hurt. You see, I already paid for Overwatch 1 back when I first started playing the game. Blizzard took that game away from me and made it free for everyone, which is already a bit questionable. But now, they want me to pay even more for an experience that's not even close to being as good as what they promised? This really feels like some sick joke. Scrolling through social media, it's very clear that you and I are not alone in our grievances with Overwatch, and so you may be asking yourself, where do I go from here? I don't want to play Overwatch anymore, but I still need to scratch that hero shooter itch. I want to play with the talent system that was promised, but where do I go to find it? Well, I have a solution if you'd be willing to hear me out. An old rival from long ago, originally called a copycat, but has since found its own identity and has one major feature that Overwatch players will no longer be getting after PvE was cancelled. That's right, I'm talking about Paladins. Paladins is a game that was long considered to be the free-to-play ripoff of the original Overwatch, but nowadays, it offers so much more than Overwatch 2 and is in a much healthier state. Do you remember the talent system that was supposed to be coming with Overwatch 2's PvE? How you'd be able to choose how the heroes play and alter their playstyles dramatically? Well, that is literally the main selling point of Paladins, and Paladins has had this feature for over 5 years. And get this, it's not a PvE feature. This is part of the PvP. Each character has 3 talents which they can choose from at the start of the match, and some champions have really cool talents that dramatically change their playstyle and are really satisfying. That's not where the customization ends though, because you also get to choose a loadout which is made up of 5 cards, and each champion has 16 cards to choose from. These cards can really impact the champion's playstyle, and every loadout can be tailored to complement your choice of talent. Paladins also has dynamic progression throughout the match that can further change how you play the game. During every match, you earn credits that can be spent on an in-game item store which grants you powerful buffs, like cooldown reduction, movement speed, and, one of the best items, resistance to crowd control effects. If you're tired of getting stunned, knocked around, slowed, and turned into a chicken, you can buy this item to make them have almost no effect. I'm sure Overwatch 1 players would have adored having such a feature, so they can stop getting flashed by Mick Cassidy. On top of that, this game has far more characters than Overwatch. Overwatch went through a content drought with no new characters for years, just to get 6 trickled into the game after Overwatch 2's release. Overwatch now has 37 heroes as of writing, with a 38th one in the works. Paladins, on the other hand, has almost double that, with 58 playable champions. Some of these champions are very similar to their Overwatch counterparts, like Tyra, Fernando, Skye, and Kinessa. If you want someone familiar to start out with, Paladins has you covered. Some of these counterparts also have fresh takes on Overwatch heroes, like Koga, Drogos, and Makoa, and there are also plenty of unique champions that have no counterpart in Overwatch whatsoever. Some of my favorites include Atlas, the Time Lord who can blast enemies into the past, Maldamba, the best support I've ever played, with a cute snake, Eevee, the most skillful champion in the game with some of the best mobility in the hero shooter genre, and Androxus, the poster boy of Paladins with a satisfying playstyle. Hell, you can even play a 7-foot-tall demon with a massive minigun if you want to. Paladins also has far better movement-based gameplay than Overwatch 2, and it's not even close. Eevee, Vatu, Maeve, and Androxus are perfect examples of how Paladins gives you incredible freedom of mobility, and all of these champions have incredible skill expression as a result. All characters have smooth air strafing and no mid-air inaccuracy, allowing everyone to utilize vertical movement to varying degrees. Every class has high mobility options to choose from, and they're all really fun. And of course, that's not even mentioning what this monster can do. Meow.
Let's make this interesting.
Hello!
Enemy killing.
Overwatch certainly has its fair share of high mobility too, don't get me wrong, but Paladins really takes it to the next level, and it's incredibly fun. Characters also don't have annoying instant strafing like in Overwatch, if you find that to be irritating like I do. You'll also be pleased to hear that snipers are not even close to meta in this game. Unlike Overwatch, snipers can't one-shot. They're only good on a handful of maps, and many of the high mobility characters I just mentioned can shut them down really hard. It really does make the game a lot more fun. Paladins is also probably the reason why I just don't enjoy Overwatch supports very much. Paladins has significantly more variety in its support playstyles, both in terms of how they heal and what other abilities they have to help their team. Most of the supports in Overwatch shoot their teammates or throw something at them to heal them, but in Paladins you have a lot more options. Of course, you have your normal targeted heals, but you also have channeled healing abilities, healing auras, area of effect abilities, big healing bombs, passive marks, bouncing balls, and clones. In particular, I love how this game has multiple area of effect healers, since the only healer with that ability in Overwatch is not even a real support. These supports also have way more variety in their supportive capabilities and movement abilities. Maldamba can stun people when he reloads and slither away. Io has a dog which acts as her personal bodyguard and attacks enemies. Grover does lots of damage and has the ability to travel across the map in a second. Genos can force choke people like Darth Vader. Rey provides ultimate charge, damage reduction, debuffs to the enemies, and buffs to her teammates. Corvus pours the whole kitchen sink down a teammate's throat and can also teleport. And Pip can turn people into chickens. Paladin supports are far more interesting than Overwatch supports, and I stand by that statement. The Paladins devs have also really stepped it up when it comes to the content they've added this year. They've brought back plenty of old events like Rise of Furia and Siege of Ascension Peak, and they've also added back old game modes that got removed when the game was in beta. Payload is back as a permanent feature, and the old version of Siege is coming back as of the time of writing. Unlike Overwatch, you actually get to choose which game mode you queue for, instead of having them all jammed into just one queue. The grass isn't always greener on the other side, though. I can't make a video talking about Paladins as an alternative to Overwatch without discussing the downsides. First of all, the game is no longer available on Switch, as the platform proved to be dragging the game down. The Switch port was honestly just embarrassing with how poorly it functioned, and it's for the best that it's gone. On other platforms, the game will crash significantly more than Overwatch, and Paladins is overall a much less polished game than Overwatch. Overwatch 2's many bugs can't hold a candle to what Paladins has had to deal with over the years. Oh man. Damien, please. Just relax. Ah yes, the silent and invisible character. Paladins also lacks certain features like kill cams, play of the game, and the ping system. The replay system is barely functioning, and the only matches that even get recorded are matches that are either spectated live by another person, or matches that are played at diamond level or higher in ranked. Even just making a party in this game can be a difficult and frustrating experience. On the whole, though, this game is still a blast, and the features that this game has more than make up for the bugs we have to deal with. Once this game hooks you in with its customization and satisfying mechanics, it's very hard to put it down. The game is in a much healthier state than Overwatch 2 right now, with devs that are passionate and working to listen to the community and add what the players want, rather than canceling the one project that everyone was excited to play. If you're looking for a good game to switch to after Overwatch overpromised, I would highly recommend giving Paladins a try. But with that being said, that's going to be the end of this video. If you're looking to give Paladins a try, I have a bunch of resources for you here on my channel that can help you learn the ins and outs of this game. There's a bunch of mechanics that the game does a poor job of explaining, and that's why I'm making a bunch of beginner-friendly guides which you can find in my Paladins Beginner's Guide playlist on YouTube. If you want to ask any questions or find people to party up with, I'd also recommend following me on Twitch and joining my Discord server linked below. But with all that being said, thank you guys for watching, I will see you all next time, peace out.